East up, A-Town. Yeah. Okay. Usher. Lil Jon. Yeah.
You like that?
You're gonna buy the kneecap off?
I keep waiting for that one to get better, and it never does.
That's awful. You know that
Awful.
Not as awful as this guy though.
Oh my God, it's a 4-2-5 defense. All you gotta do is blitz more. All they gotta do is fire Aaron Glenn, and then you can start winning again. You're so stupid.
Oh my gosh.
All you got to do is fire Aaron Glenn.
That's all you got to do.
Sell the team, bro. Sell the team. 1957. They ain't won shit since 1957. They need to sell the team. They ain't never gonna do nothing. Same old Lions.
That's been debunked. That's been busted.
Yeah, there's still a couple of them out there. But you know what Kaminsky says about that.
If there's any haters in here right now that don't have nobody to hate on, feel free to hate on me. Sit back there and say my hair ain't luxurious when you know it is, bitch.
Kaminsky.
He's really interesting to me if they're going to keep him or not, because they could save money if they get rid of him, but he's a fan favorite, and he wasn't as productive last year, it seemed like, as he was the year before.
You're ready to go. I'm not going to waste time.
It's not fair. They were so happy. It's not going to be okay.
What's up, y'all? This is Ifeatu Melifonwu, safety for the Detroit Lions. And I just want to take some time out to give a big shout out to Russell Wayne and Main Event Mike from the Detroit Lions Villain Squad. It's a fan page.
Yeah, look at that catch. Oh, look at that. Welcome one. Welcome all. Ladies and gentlemen. Let's go. And it looks like we may be bringing that one back right there. Welcome one, welcome all, ladies and gentlemen, right here, right now. It is Football Talk with Russell Wayne right here. Season 3, off-season edition. We're broadcasting live right now into the Detroit Lions Villain Squad, which is approaching 47,000 villains. Thank you to everybody that is sharing and liking this content and out there that are real avid football fans. Obviously, if you're watching right here and right now, you're a good football fan. You know why? Because it's the off season. We're broadcasting live into the Detroit Lions news podcast. Thank you to Joe Chapp and the boys putting out an excellent product themselves right there. And I am joined always, well, maybe not always, like mostly always, by my compadre, Main Event Mike.
Say hello to my little friend.
Right. It's Monday.
Good afternoon, Russ. How are you?
It's a beautiful Monday, and I'm in here talking football on the inside with you when it's 70 degrees out there, and it's just wonderful out there in Michigan.
Beautiful.
It is beautiful.
March the 4th, and it's 70 degrees. I'll take it.
It feels like 70 degrees as a Lions fan because it just feels great as a Lions fan, because for one, we didn't have to go through a lot of the heartbreak of the off season, where it's like usually our off season starts in, September, and and we're thinking about, we're looking at draft prospects, but we took it all the way to the NSC championship, and it seems like the minute that we lost, I cried for a little bit and went through, a little bit of an emotional breakdown. But then 2 weeks later, we're talking about we're a week away from free agency, Mike.
Yeah, for sure. Free agency starts on the 13th, the new league year, March 13th. We're in that in-between zone. Combine ended yesterday, right?
Yep.
The legal tampering period will start on the 11th, which essentially is the beginning of free agency, but it doesn't technically begin until the 13th.
Right.
So we're in that zone in between where podcasters struggle to talk about, but not you and I, my friend.
No, because we have kept our boys when everybody blew their combine wad before they even seen what any of these guys were going to do at the combine. And here's the other thing is after the free agency period here, there's going to be about a full month of nauseating mock draft after mock draft. So if you're already in the mock drafts and you already got your opinion on your guys, kudos to you, but we're about ready to hit this at a very, very like a nausea pace.
Yeah. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Yeah. And that's where we're at right now. That's why we've really focused a lot on just making sure that we're going to talk about these free agents and dream an impossible dream, with a lot of these free agents. And with $54 million, and I'm just looking back through here because I want to see it. The number goes down like every day and we don't sign anybody. It's really weird because I keep on looking at over the cap. It's like when we got all the money, for the $30 million, the salary cap on the over the cap went up to like 58 million. And it's been going down by like $1 million every day for no real reason. I mean, they may be making some roster stuff happen behind the scenes, signing some depth players that I'm not really thinking about. But right now, as it stands, the Lions are at $52.5 million in cap space, and it sounds like they're about ready to sign Amon-Ra St. Brown to a deal that isn't a record-breaking deal or anything, but about $25 million a year. And I don't think anybody's going to have any problem with that. You don't have any problem with that, do you, Mike? Spend some money?
You could go 27 and I'd be happy.
Right. So you're not having any problems with that. Thank you for the like that just came on there. If you're watching the video right now, go ahead and hit the like button. Unless you hate us. I mean, if you hate us, then I hope that you're not watching. But if you're loving some football content right here, you're a little bit of football conversation, hit that like button for us and we appreciate it. But
quick rundown here, Russ. We're talking about the free agency starting on March 13th, right? The beginning of the new league year. A couple of other dates fast approaching as well before the draft. March 24th through 27th will be the league owners meeting. It'll be held in Orlando, Florida this year. And the reason that's important is because this is when they're going to address new NFL rules. It looks like the rules committee is not even going to entertain changing the rule of fumbling out of the back of the end zone, but it will be interesting to see what rules they do change or investigate. Mid-April, the Detroit Lions have applied for new uniform permission. So mid-April, we're expected to see the unveiling of the new uniform, the alternate uniform that's going to come out for this year. I'm excited about that because I'm a nerd, and that happens in mid-April. And then April 15th is when the offseason workout, strength, and rehab starts for these players. So a couple of dates. And then April 17th, of course, the deadline for top 30 visits. And that's something we're going to be talking about today as well.
Right on. Yeah, the offseason is upon us. We're here. We're about ready to make some moves, though. Like, I know that the legal tampering period starts on March 11th, but you know how it is. Friday on March 9th, they're already going to be, Adam Schefter's going to be leaking these deals that are going to start when, oh, well, we can't really say anything technically, the legal tampering period, but this deal's done, even though they're not allowed to talk to each other. I love it every year when they're like that, but maybe they'll be closer on that, but it does seem like they sign guys beforehand, doesn't it?
Yeah, they do agree in principle.
Yeah. and I don't know how the rules like that work, but as we're going in here, we want to be able to make the team better, and I think that they're going to do some things with these free agents. And what do you expect them to get done in free agent? Do you think they're going to make a splash signing, or do you think it's going to be another free agency where we just kind of sign our own guys and get a couple, day 2 free agent guys? What do you think they're going to do, Mike?
I think they're going to get one big piece on defense. Detroit Fan Man's asking us to make some predictions. I'm going to predict that they're going to land corner. They're going to land secondary pieces in free agency and draft the defensive line position. That's what I predict will happen. And the reason I predict that will happen because we're in win now mode. And there's a learning curve for cornerbacks, and they get burned. That's how they learn. So I think to bring in a veteran corner would be more prudent, and we can get a defensive lineman ready in time for the season, especially with some of the pieces that we have on this defense, the leadership that we have. I think we can get it done with a defensive lineman who's a rookie.
Right on. I mean, there are some guys that are available, and I honestly believe that they're going to go get 2 middle pieces that are both starting level cornerbacks, and I'm going to go out and I'm just going to go ahead and make a prediction since that's what was asked. And I really like the combination of getting a guy like Kendall Fuller and Stephon Gilmore. I think they could sign both of those pieces and it wouldn't break the bank. And then you would have 2 veteran corners to go along with Cameron Sutton. And then you go into the draft with the developmental process in there where you can bring in a guy that can compete for number 2, number 3, and he doesn't have that pressure. I think that that's what they're going to do. And like you had said, what you just alluded to right there, you can go into the draft with those 2 third-round picks, and you can get a couple of guys on the defensive side of the ball, the defensive line, the big men, that you already got a nice little array of those guys. You can develop those guys, and you can get really good pieces later in the rounds than you could at like cornerback. Because by the time pick 29 comes off the board, the top 6 or 7 corners are probably going to be off the board already. Mm-hmm. So I think that they go into free agency because cornerback's a hell of a lot harder of a learning curve than the other positions that they need. So that's where I think they're going to. There's my, I don't know if it's a bold prediction, but couple free agent corners.
I also think they're going to move up in the draft. I don't think they sit at 29. I think he packages something up and goes up and gets a guy like Jared Verse. He goes up. If they might even take a corner, like a guy they fall in love with. There's a Nate Wiggins or a Terrion Arnold from Alabama that they really covet. They'll move up to get their guy. But if they do that, they better get some D-line help in free agency. Somewhere along the line, they're going to have to get some free agent help because just the draft isn't going to cut it to get us over the hump the way this defense played, ranked 27th against the pass.
Well, there's a couple of guys that are in there. So, I mean, they could definitely go that way when you're looking at – and let me throw this up there. Add into the stage right there. This Nate Wiggins kid, and I heard that he got injured, but then I've heard good report out there. This kid runs a 4.2 940 at 6'2". You want to talk about a guy that can guard the fastest wide receivers? That's what we really need is a bona fide number 1 shutdown corner that goes. And then Quinyon Mitchell keeps on moving up the draft board right here. This PFF grade, this guy was in the 40s 2 weeks ago. 2 weeks ago before they got into the combine and stuff. And this guy was just shooting up the board. And then finally he does the workout and there it is. He's the number 12th overall. They're saying this guy's showing flashes like Sauce Gardner type of flashes right here. So if they move up, into the top 10 and grab a guy like this, I'm not going to mind it one bit.
I'd feel better if I'd have seen this guy play at all. I didn't. He plays in a MAC school, so that's a little red flag for me is I never got to actually lay eyeballs on him. All we're seeing is the combine stuff and the draft board and the mention of his name. I don't know anything about him, so I really couldn't comment on that kid. But you're right. He's shooting up not just this PFF draft board, but all draft boards.
Well, I want to bring up this number right here, and I love consistency. And when you look at it, his first year, freshman year, the 67th best corner out of 887, 2022, the best corner in college out of 917, 2023, the best corner in college out of 852. Now, I know that you're going to hit me with the Max School stuff right there, but those scores weren't like, hey, yeah, well, I wonder if he's kind of good. Those are outstanding. Like if you're talking, Hall of Fame type of scores, if you're pulling that off in the NFL, obviously it's not going to be that good right off the bat, but that's what you want, right?
But he got those scores against inferior competition.
Yeah, but he got facing inferior competition for 3 straight years. He dominated those inferior competition. So it's not like there was a hole in that. He shut it down completely. Like there was no competition for him in that school. So, I mean, I get what you would say. That's why he started out as 44. That's why he worked his way up. Everything that he did outside of Toledo is the reason that he's ranked 12th overall. All of the work he's done after he left that school, because Toledo didn't do him any favors. There was a comment by one of the draft prospects that says that sometimes they look at the name on the helmet more than the name than look at the player. They're too much fixed on where they played at, and they're not looking at the player. How does that player fit in there? Not all the rest of the teammates are going to be like Toledo teammates. He just needs to be a good player. Mm-hmm. But I love it. I wouldn't mind if they go up and they grab one of these top end guys. That's really the point of the conversation. Doesn't have to be Quinyon Mitchell. It could be, like you said, Terrion Arnold, Dallas Turner, right there. The freak edge, Jared Verse, the freak edge. Look at those scores. 83, 82, 84. That's consistency. Jackson Powers Johnson. Stick this guy right next to Penei Sewell. Jackson Powers Johnson. I've heard nothing but elite trades. What if the Lions trade up to take a guard? What if they trade up into the top 15 and they select him at 15 and take Jackson Powers Johnson?
The heir apparent to Frank Ragnow?
The heir apparent that can also start at guard while Frank Ragnow is still tanking it. Being the tank.
The two greatest Green Bay Packer fans in the world are on our comments. A-Dub saying, as you're speaking about corners, he expects Green Bay to draft one with the first pick. Well, I can tell you that Mel Kiper, with Green Bay drafting at number 25, has him taking an offensive tackle from BYU, and it is Kingsley Suamatia, who is Penei Sewell's cousin. So offensive line help is where some of the experts think they're going to go, A-Dub, but you're thinking corner. And then to your point, Orlando says, always a small school stud at corner that makes waves in the NFL. Isn't that true? Gosh, that's so true. What a great call out that is.
It is, because you can't really put it just on where they went to school, and now since the college is going into this playoff format, I'm looking,
It's my quarterback.
I'm looking at this college playoff format to where they're going to be competing with the NFL within 10 years on revenue and money that they're going to be able to generate, because, you go to the Big House, you go to the Horseshoe, you want to talk about rabid football fans, and now they're going to be put into a playoff atmosphere. Could you imagine a playoff atmosphere at the Big House? Win or go home, and then you get a home game. Can you imagine what that's going to be like, Mike? In the Big House, watching a playoff game, maybe a semifinal, Because I don't think they're just going to do all of these games in the playoffs at neutral sites. They're going to be home field advantage. They're going to take advantage of these things.
Well, that's the question though. Is that what it's going to be, or are they going to use the bowls, the bowls as those playoff games? It's the Cotton Bowl featuring SMU and blah blah blah. These teams that made the at-large bids.
Right, but they should have a chance to go and have that be at their stadium, because the Cotton Bowl isn't is it a stadium that they have to be in that stadium every year, or could they take the name Cotton Bowl and could they have that at the big house with the logo of Cotton Bowl and have a home playoff game?
That one in particular, I think the Cotton Bowl is named after the stadium. So that one in particular for that example is locked in.
So maybe
mistaken.
You do
but
it.
You couldn't have the Rose Bowl not in Pasadena in the Rose Bowl. That's the name of the arena.
Right. So maybe you have, the top 4 games, right? That you can't change. But when you're in, the play-in games or you're doing the beginning rounds of the tournament, I mean, you could have a couple home games before you got into the name games. Who gives a shit about the Fiesta Bowl? Where's that going? The Tostitas Fiesta, I mean, they're already putting sponsors and names all over the place. So you're thinking that all of these games may be neutral?
I am not thinking that. I am not thinking that. They have not laid out how it's going to work yet. So I think they're going to keep the bowls intact and they will make them neutral. And then they will, when it gets to the semifinals and there's only 4 teams left, those will also be neutral sites and all leading up to one Super Bowl type of championship game.
Man, don't ruin my dreams yet. I'm gonna dream the impossible dream then all the way up until, because to me, to imagine, in the horseshoe or in the big house, imagining a playoff type of atmosphere with 100,000 people. I mean, in college, fans lean on teams a hell of a lot more than pros do. That student section, and when you're at that game, you could just hear oh man, I've been in a big house a couple of times.
Right. So there will be the conference winners will automatically get a bye. So if Michigan beats Ohio, they win the Big Ten, they will get a bye in that first round. Wouldn't it suck if you had to go to the big house to play that playoff game? I mean, doesn't seem fair.
Oh man, it's going to be a very cool thing. I mean, to me, I love football so much, and I love pros more than college right now, right? But this may turn it may make me like college more if this thing is done right. And they can, I mean, this is a gambler's dream. I mean,
a lot of people in Lions country were big college fans because we had more success at the college level, and Lions always stunk. But and there's also, the guys at college are playing for mom and apple pie, right? Now they're playing for millions. NIL, they're playing for millions. They're playing for their next stop in the portal. They're playing for all the things. The things that made the pro game tainted is now tainting the college game. And that's why we see so many college coaches leaving for the NFL now, because it's become a circus that they don't want to be a part of. And I think that the college football playoff is a great thing. It's long overdue. Should have been done a long time ago.
Yeah, but I feel what you're talking about right there, where it's like, okay, you got the good thing, but now you've opened up Pandora's box, and now all the snakes are going to kind of come in and they'll taint part of it. They will with their I got to make a little extra money here, got to make a little extra money there. But it's the Wild West show right now when it comes with transfers and all that bullshit. I mean, I hope that they fix that up, but
I think the only way that they can fix that up is with some sort of a salary cap type of thing where they can, because I mean, right now it's unlimited.
Right. But they're doing a good thing to me, in my opinion. They're doing a good thing by separating the college from the business. Like they're not allowing the colleges to be the ones that facilitate the paying and stuff like that. You have to get that from an outside source. But I'm sure that the colleges are, finding ways to manipulate that so they can help out a little bit, Oh, yeah, go over here. This car dealership was a Michigan grad. Why don't you go over there and talk to him? He might throw you some,
Yeah. We got some names, college player names being thrown in here in our comments. Donnie says Zach Frazier would help at guard and move over to center when Frank retires also. I'm a WVU guy. Frazier is a heck of a player with a ton of grit. I'm not familiar with Zach Frazier. Are you, Russ?
I am, because I started my draft research after the combine, and last night I did myself about 200 mock drafts. Just kind of went through and got the feel of who was going to be available at certain spots. And if you want, I can bring up the mock drafting thing here.
It's your show. You do what you want, but I don't. I'm not calling for it. I don't like mock drafts. As you know, I'm not a mock draft guy.
Well, but people want to know about these players, and I want to be able to talk about them in a way that. Okay, I have your permission to do it, even though I'm pulling you against your will. God, I thought that I'd picked a good day to pull a mock draft out after waiting. Jeremy Ballrook's done 600 of them on his show. See, Mike's leaving. See, he hates mock drafts so much that he's like, dude, if you're gonna do mock draft, I'm out of here. I'm done. DUN, done. I ain't messing around with none of this. I ain't messing around with none of these mock drafts. But and you can do them so fast though, Mike. It's not like let's show them how fast we can do this here. There you go. The big board. Let's see all of our tools. Fantasy mock draft simulator. Holy smokes. All right. All my tools.
Talking about the college football playoff, Fred says if they get it right, it only took them 150 years for sure. There's a lot of talk here by these Packer fans saying the Packers are looking at Braylon Allen, running back from Wisconsin. I liked him too. He was a good looking back.
Man, this thing looks different on my damn desktop. There you go. Mock draft simulator. Just do a little 3-round guy right here. You can do trades and all that, but we won't do any of that trade. You start the draft, and what it does, and you'll watch how fast we're going to go through here. They picked every single player. Right? So who came off the board? Caleb Williams, Drake May, all the way down to us right here. What are we going to have really available here on the right? Is it showing you all that? Okay. Here on the right is what's available at 29.
Though no one really thinks the Lions will pick at 29. And all those picks from 1 through 28 are all going to be jumbled up because the draft position and the teams are going to change.
But what if they do pick at 29? I mean, everybody gets in love with the Lions trading up, trading down. I mean, I remember last year they were trying to, make up something where they draft into the top 3 and, and everything. But no, they ended up trading down, the one thing that nobody expected them to do last year.
But everyone seems to think that's because the Seahawks took Witherspoon at number 5 right in front of us. So once that happened, that's when he traded back.
Okay, well, this is right here. These are what PFF has them ranked in the order of the guys that would be there. And this was just brought up. Zach Frazier, right there. He would be available probably underneath these things if they're just picking at 29. I think Zach Frazier is right there. The 34th overall prospect. I mean, is it going to kill you to take that guy? You know, they got the cornerback from Missouri right here. Is that a guy that we would take? You know, Ennis Rakenshaw Jr., you know, J.J. McCarthy. Would somebody trade up to get this? Bo Nix, QB, right there. T.J. Tampa. Here's a 6'2" corner, weighs 200 pounds, with a name like T.J. Tampa. If they run to Tampa too, is he destined to be a Buccaneer? But no, this is about what, you know, rated, what would be available in that area, in and around. I mean, you can look at some of these guys that were drafted right before. Some of these guys might be available at that point. You know, who would we want that comes right before that? Right, Brian Thomas Jr. I know that we brought in. So, Troy Fatnau, this is who that they just said that is Penei Sewell's cousin, right?
No.
Which one is that?
Kingsley Suamatia.
Kingsley Suamatia. Let's see. Did he go before?
No, but that's you know, I'm looking at Mel Kiper's draft board.
Right. So I'm looking for Suamatua. Let's just see where's he at? Inside offensive tackles. Suamatua. They have him ranked at the 46 overall. So there's a possibility that they could take him right there at pick 29. That's only, I mean, you're not going to get him in the, you know, at the end of the second round, according to this list.
He was mocked to Green Bay at 25.
Right. So if he's available right there, would you take him? But
I would not.
So that's just, I just wanted to pull that. I'm not going to do the whole mock draft. You can take whoever you want at that point, but I just wanted to be realistic to people, knowing, like, you know, if you're doing a mock draft, that's all cool. But like you had said, there's so many moving variables with 29 other people taking stuff, possibly trading, and all these different outcomes that you're probably, I mean, it may look completely different than that. It probably will look completely different than this, you know, with these lists. I mean, you may get those first few right. I mean, do you really think that Malik Neighbors is going to go before Marvin Harrison Jr.? I don't. Maybe.
The one, every mock, and this one is no different, has Brock Bowers going 5 to the Chargers. That seems like such a great fit. I mean, that's one that I think is going to stick.
Yeah, you like that.
You like that?
It's on every mock. Has Brock Bowers going 5 to the Chargers. And they could use a tight end out there. They haven't had a good tight end since, gosh.
You know, what I
Antonio
love,
Gates. They haven't had one good one since Antonio Gates.
and Brock Bowers may be the next truth, you know, on that. But do tight ends really work out in the first year if your name's not Sam Laporta? I mean, there's not a big track record of that.
Historically, no, tight ends do not do well in their first year. Historically.
Like, even those guys that you mentioned, they haven't had a good one since Antonio Gates. Antonio Gates didn't have a great first year, I thought.
Right.
Maybe he did have a good first year. I mean, I don't know if he was one of the ones that had a good year. But I thought it was, like guys like Vernon Davis, who ended up being one of the greatest. You know, I know that he didn't have a first good year because I drafted him in my fantasy league, and he didn't do shit his first year. But is that too high? I mean, if you're taking, is that too high to take a tight end? I mean, a Lion fan would tell you yes, right? I hope so. 7's too high for a tight end, Mike. 9.
Well, yeah, for sure. I mean, even Laporta wasn't drafted till the second round.
Right. So we got the best tight end in the league in the second round. I mean, I think that even the Green Bay Packers they're probably pretty happy with Luke Musgrave. You know, even though he got injured, but he ended up being a pretty good player for them by the end of the year. You know, they got him in the second round. I think it's just too high to play, to use that high draft pick on a tight end. I mean, if anybody would feel like that, would be a Lion fan, right? We tried it twice, and we ended up getting the best tight end in Lions history in second round. Do you expect Sam Laporta to be there? I mean, right there in that thick of it, being the best tight end in the league next year? Or will he have a sophomore slump? Who knows?
I think he's still going to be productive.
I know you can hear my papers in the background. I just don't like putting that right on camera. Can you hear that? You can hear the crinkling and everything?
Not at all.
Really? Okay, cool. Good. Then I was just thinking it for nothing. Thinking all that stuff for nothing. But didn't you have something, Mike? Didn't you have some news? Didn't you have to do some research and development for the show today?
I was, and it was all about because the combine ended yesterday. Right? The combine ended yesterday, so now we're in that low period. So I started looking at last year. What did the Lions do at this time last year? And what they did at this time last year was they scheduled their what's called the top 30 visits, right? They can only bring in 30 prospects into their building and do, drills. And they can actually, I don't think they can do drills. I think it's just, questions and learning FBI, their football intellect and all of that. And they problem solve them. They get to know the person. They bring them in. So I looked at what they did last year and see if that translated to anything this year. Nah, I don't think it did. What they do is they bring in a crop position by position. Like they brought in 3 wide receivers, Garrett Wilson, Drake London, and Treylon Burks. They brought them all in. But, of course, all of those guys were gone except Treylon Burks by 18 when they took Jack Campbell. Right? They moved up and took Jahmyr Gibbs at 12. Didn't bring him in for a visit. Didn't bring Jack Campbell in for a visit. So I don't think there's much that you can glean from this. They brought in Aiden Hutchinson, Kayvon Thibodeau, and Trayvon Walker. Undisputedly, the 3 best edge rushers in the class. And, of course, they settled on Aiden Hutchinson with the 2nd overall pick. That was in 2022. So I went back 2 years to start this pattern to see what I could glean from it. They brought in linebackers, Quay Walker, Nakobe Dean. Both of those guys were available. They could have drafted them at the time, but they didn't. Was it because of something that they saw or learned about that player at the in-house visit? They also had Kyle Hamilton come in, safety, who's now an all-pro, one of the best safeties in the league, all-around best players in the league. Kyle Hamilton, they brought him in. The Ravens drafted him at 14. So it makes me wonder, after taking Gibbs at 12, would they have taken Kyle Hamilton at safety? Probably not, because guess what? They also brought in a guy from Illinois named Kirby Joseph, who they obviously liked enough to wait until the 3rd round to snag him up and pass on a guy like Kyle Hamilton. So I wasn't able to glean a lot. Lewis Seen from Georgia, a couple notable notes that they people that they brought in 2022. Tomorrow I'm going to take a look at the 2023 class, and hopefully by then they will have posted the top 30 visits for 2024. That list has not come out yet, but don't forget, there's also what's called local pro day. So any school that is within a certain radius of your facility, you can pull them in and not count it as a top 30 visit. We brought in like guys like Sampson, the quarterback out of Northern Illinois. There was a guy from Toledo that we brought in. That did not count as a top 30 visit because they were within that close enough to drive a moped to the practice facility, and that doesn't count against the 30 visits.
So does that mean that they would be able to visit with Quinyon Mitchell, with him being from Toledo, without using a top 30 visit?
That would be correct.
Wow. Okay. See, you learn something every day here. You may not learn much from this show, but every day you learn a little something right there. And I love that, Mike. And they have taken this year, and it sounds to me from what you just said right there, it sounds to me like they like smoke screens. They like to be like, hey, look at over here. We're looking at these guys over here. And then they go pick somebody else. But something that they did bring over the last couple of days is they spoke with, at the combine, Brian Thomas Jr. from LSU, a wide receiver. And then they brought in not Worthy, the other
Devontae Walker. You just passed him.
Okay, Devontae Walker from North Carolina, a 6'2" wide receiver, and they also brought in Xavier Leggett, who is looking like Calvin Johnson out there, like, and 6'3", 227-pound beast. So all three of these wide receivers, what they have in common is they're big X receivers. And last year, you had said that you would love to go get a Mike Thomas, and he would have put us over the edge right there. And this is the type of receiver that these three guys are. This Mike Thomas type of, or not Mike Thomas, Mike Evans.
Mm-hmm.
Mike Evans. These guys are Mike Evans, X receiver, go up, jump up, catch it over the defensive back type of dude. And that's the only thing that our team is really missing on offense, is that bona fide X dude that can go one-on-one and jump over a guy and make the play, right?
Yeah, I mean, the 7th round last year, they took Antoine Green to try to fill that need. He obviously didn't, get all the way there. So maybe they're looking again. I love what you're bringing up here, that all three of these guys they met with at the combine. Remember, folks, these teams can only meet with 45 players max at the combine. There are over 300 players at the combine. They only get to meet with 45 of them. So I'm sure they choose those selectively, only guys that they're potentially interested in. So they're potentially interested in these three wide receivers. And like you said, they all have, they're that X receiver outside the number receiver that's going to get 50-50 balls. They're taller, right? Explosive. Maybe they are still looking for that player. I would still be surprised. I know there's a lot of speculation the Lions might go wide receiver in the first round. Lions might go offensive tackle in the first round. We know Brad Holmes is going to take the best player that he likes, regardless of what that position is. But boy, wouldn't we? I was shocked last year when we took Jahmyr Gibbs at 12. But then when we took Campbell at 18, it made sense. Now you're going to help the defense. So I would be, with only one pick in the first round, I would be super, super surprised if we don't address the defense in the first round.
Yeah, and that's the thing, Mike. It's like when we make these predictions and we haven't went through the free agency and stuff, because you may feel completely different, 10 days from now, if they do go do something like I brought up earlier, which is they go out and sign Stephon Gilmore and Fuller to 2 free agent contracts, and all of a sudden you're looking at that, and maybe they go out and they sign Christian Wilkins, defensive tackle, and another pass rusher,
Van Ginkel.
And at that point, because I honestly think that they're going to fill all of the needs, like the glaring needs, the things. I think that we're going to feel really, really good going into the draft. I think that we're going to go into the draft with a mindset, we don't have any needs right now, and we're just building the back end of our roster with guys that we can develop, even the first round pick.
I love that. I mean, if you're right, if we go and get a defensive lineman and a corner, maybe like you say, 2 corners in the free agency market, then you can absolutely take a tackle, replenish that offensive line, right? You can take Ragnow's replacement. And then, like you said, you got 2 third-round picks, snag a couple more corners. You can never have too many DBs. But if we take care of those glaring needs in free agency, like you said, Russ, that's going to give him freedom in the draft to do what he does, and that's take the best football player.
Yes. And they have the money to do that. The thing is like what people will do a lot of times with free agent money. You know, you look at something like this over the cap type of deal, right? You're looking at this over the cap and you're looking at this money going $52 million and you're looking at $52 million like it's $52 million. The Lions have $52 million, but they have $52 million with excellent credit and a couple of guys that they can go, you know, and they can go take a loan out if they needed to. They can spend $52 million without going into debt. Like that, I mean, understand the difference because Tampa Bay just spent $26 million on a wide receiver when they're behind on the cap. They have shit they got to take care of when it comes to their cap. They got to go shuffle some stuff around. The Lions can spend $52 million and don't have to shuffle shit around. If they do shuffle shit around, they can end up getting another $30 million after that if they want to take a loan out on this year. So this is uncapped. $52 million. You got to understand the difference. They can go spend some money. They can go get some money through Taylor Decker, Frank Ragnow. They could restructure Cameron Sutton. They can make some moves. I don't know if they're going to do any of those things because they don't have to.
Well, they do have 6 restricted free agents to sign. They have 6 players that are going to be restricted free agents. So the deadline to sign those 6, April 19th. The deadline for the top 30 visits, April 17th. So you got to pull in these prospects and have them into your building. That's the deadline, the 17th, and really evaluate who's a potential for your team before you're faced with that April 19th deadline to sign your free agents. Then it comes at you quick. 1 week later, the draft on April the 25th. So like you said, they can get their own people signed, get free agency, get these glaring needs worked out, and really be in a great place to where they're being a great place to compete without even a single draft pick.
It's beautiful.
It's beautiful. And then they can develop these young players that come in. They're not relying on them to make such a huge impact like they were this year. We were reliant on Brian Branch, especially when Mosley, didn't make it back, especially when all these other things happened. We were reliant on Sam Laporta, 10 touchdowns on offense, Jahmyr Gibbs, all these guys really made an impact, but we needed them to get here.
Correct.
I don't think we're going to be in that position. We're only going to be looking for an impact from maybe 1 or 2 of these draftees, because I think, like you said, we're going to address it in free agency. I do got to jump off. Russ, thanks for having me on your show. God bless each and every one of you. It's Main Event Mike. Peace out.
All right. There he goes. That's Main Event Mike right there. And we're talking about this draft and free agency period, because this to me is like some of my favorite. This is my favorite time of the year because this is when the team gets better. And this is the time of year where, Detroit fans are used to just, trying to drink some of the Kool-Aid. It's like the only happy time of the year for Lions usually. And this year it's a little bit different just because, we didn't have to wait as long. So now I know what these Green Bay Packer fans feel like after, winning and winning and winning and winning. I don't know, like you guys, but, not having to wait very long after the season was over to get into this part, it actually feels pretty good. I like that. But the thing that Mike was talking about with those restricted free agents is those guys aren't going to be all that expensive when you're coming and you're looking at this cap room right here. Out of that 52 million, you're not going to commit that much, especially April 17th. They're going to be able to know what they can get in free agency. They're going to know who they've signed at that point. You have those top visits, and any of those guys that you're going to sign for the next years. I mean, you got guys like Brock Wright. Yeah. You're going to put him on a veteran contract. He ain't going to make much more than $1 million a year, maybe $2 million a year if they want to, bless him. Guy like Craig Reynolds, the free agent, that's a no-brainer. You bring him back. Pay him. Third, he's your third running back. And your running back room is looking pretty damn good. 3 deep, best running back room in the NFL. Sign Craig Reynolds. That way you're not worried about it. He knows what's up. That's an easy signing. Guy like Graham Glasgow. What do you got to pay him? I like Graham Glasgow, don't you? Graham Glasgow's a stud. And when you're looking at the differences between him and and like Jonah Jackson, I think Graham Glasgow is way more important to the Lions than Jonah Jackson. And I got nothing against Jonah Jackson. Go get your $15 million a year. Just ain't gonna be here. It ain't gonna be here. And I've totally went. Let me see, getting these comment. Fred says that he's glad that they didn't take Thibodeau. Thibodeau's been okay. But it just seems like at every corner that Brad Holmes makes the right decision, in between, players of the same position. It seems like he picks the right guy, or at least for us, at least for the Detroit Lions, he picks the right guy. Last year it was all about, Dalton Kincaid. I think Sam Laporta was like the, second or third tight end. Michael Mayer was rated higher. I think Sam Laporta was supposed to be like third or something like that. And Sam Laporta was obviously the best tight end out of that class because he's the top 5 tight end in the league his first year. Chad says Mike looks tired and crabby. Well, Mike's still, he's tired and crabby because it's 70 degrees out. And he made a commitment to come inside and talk to y'all about football. He wants to be outside. Oh, you guys want to do a mock draft before I go? Mike's not a fan of mock drafts. I'm not really a fan of mock drafts either, but it helps me. It helps me to understand, where these guys are just on a basic level, right? So if we enter the draft here, do I got this? Share this tab instead. Let's do this. So we got this mock draft. And every time I go through this, it's like, do I want one of these top guys? It's like, I have the feeling that Brad Holmes is going to trade down, not trade up. I like the type of guys that end up being available at those picks. So what do you guys got? Do you guys, yes, do it, Russell. Mock draft, Big Dan Davis. So if Jonah walks and we are unable to re-sign Glasgow, does the guard become an immediate need? And you use free agents to get another guard, to use a first round pick on a guard. You might get both of that, Big Dan Davis. And let's explore this question while we're doing this mock draft right here. If Jonah walks and we can't get Glasgow, I can't see that happening. We're going to get Glasgow. Glasgow loves it here. Maybe I'm wrong, but there are a lot that, really, if you're going by the PFF rankings right here, there's a lot better guard play. Let's look at this. Let's do this draft first. Okay, we'll start the draft. We'll go through. I'm going to say that we're not going to do any move-ups. And this is one of the reasons why I think, look at this. This is one of the reasons I think that that we would trade down. If it happened like this, I would think that we would trade down. Look at this. Jaden Daniels, JJ McCarthy, and Bo Nix. All available right there. I mean, are all these quarterbacks going to drop out? Are all these quarterbacks dropping out? Who's got the trade? You guys good with me trading down right there? Would we go ahead and take that Brian Thomas Jr.? Would we take this Missouri first 6 foot Ennis Rackenstraw Jr.? Who are we looking at? You like that guard, Zach Frazier? 6'3", 310-pound guard, center. I mean, just remember that these centers can kick out. Tackle Oklahoma, cornerback Missouri. There's Chop Robinson, Darius Robinson, Michael Penix Jr. What would you do here? Would you trade out? Let me see. Minnesota trades for the 29th pick to jump up and get their quarterback. I would think, let's look at these trades. Let's look and see what they're offering us here. Kansas City wants to trade down 2 pieces. They're not going after a quarterback. Green Bay, are they going after a quarterback at 41? They want to trade. They want to do business. Denver Broncos at pick 76. Do you want to trade all the way down? Whoa, no, I don't want to go that far. Want to trade with Kansas City? What would Kansas City give us? They give us 64? Nah. How about 95? You give us 95, 68% chance that would happen? You want to try that? Let's see. Let's see if they'll give us pick 95. Boom! There you go. We traded down. We traded down to pick 32, not even out of the first round. Who did they pick? They picked tackle Tyler Guyton. Look at that. Picked up some extra I trade back right there. Mike Sandstros. Who do we got left? We got Jaden Daniels still on the board. Brian Thomas Jr., they brought him in for the visit. Would you take the wide receiver? Would you trade back again? Do a double trade back? They got 6 trades out of the first round. Who do you got? Washington Commanders. Oh, they looking for a quarterback. Go down to pick 36. Or the Giants. I ain't trading in and I ain't trading back that far. Maybe the Raiders. Would you trade back to the Raiders or the Commanders? We still trading back? Anybody feeling it? Anybody feeling it? 4-0. Charles, pay our own guys that fit the Lions culture. That's what I say. We got some money though, Charles. So let's do this trade back here. I mean, I think we could give him 36. Will you give me 61? No. Will you give us 40? No. Will you give us 67? No. How about your compensatory pick? Ooh. Maybe give me a 5th rounder for next year too. How about a 4th rounder for next year? 55? Let's see if they do it. Boom. Let's go. We're getting some picks. All right. Who do you like? Who do you like? Oh, we traded away Zach Frazier right there. We didn't get it. We didn't get it done. Chop Robinson. I know that guy's been out there. Darius Robinson. I love this. The edge, a 295-pound edge. We got wide receivers. Yeah, Chop Robinson. I don't think I'm going to take that cornerback right there. You got Sandstro. You want me to take Sandstro? Yeah, I'll make all you Michigan slappies happy. Let's take Mike Sandstro right there. Boom. Let's take it. We can take two. What pick are we at right here? We're at pick 61 right here. See, look at these. Boom. Right there. The non-sexy picks. You got a starting guard. See how this lines up? Right in the middle. They were talking. You got value right here. You could take this second round because we're picking at 61, and then we're picking again in like 10 picks. And I'm looking at this Connecticut guard, and it's staring out at me. Let's look at some of these other guys that are there. Interior offensive linemen. You know, let's look at defensive interior. I mean, would you dare take two? Would you take two defensive linemen? Chris Jenkins. Would you take Chris Jenkins? Let's see. Anybody in there with me? Darius Robinson. Yeah. Yep. Big Dan Davis. You love it. You love it. You love it. Who would you pair with him? I'm thinking this guard. I want to go. I'm going after this position of need right here. Let's take this guard. Because I don't know a lot about these guys. I don't know a lot about these guys, but I know that he's rated up there. Right there. You get a Christian Haynes. 6'2", 313. And if you could put him right in there, boom, draft him. What do we got at 73? What do we want to do? Right here, they just brought that guy in for the visit. I'm going to take the wide receiver. I don't mean to just jump right on there, but they just brought this guy in for the visit. A late bloomer. 6'3", 227. There's your ex-wide receiver. There's your ex-wide receiver. They just brought him in. That's realistic. That's realistic right there. So you're picking at 92 and 95 with the extra. With the extra, because we haven't got a cornerback yet. What are we looking at for cornerback? What are we looking at cornerback? You got Renardo Green. Let's look at him. Because we got these positions of need. Is there anything worthy right there? Right there. These guys. Oh, there we go. Any one of these three guys, man. 4 guys. Believe it or not, out of these guys, I'd love to get a couple of these guys. I'd love to get a couple of these guys. I say we double dip right there. You love Leggett, Rackenshaw. Right there. I think I'm going to take a couple of these cornerbacks, guys. I like Cam Hart. I mean, who knows? Who knows? So let's go ahead and take... I'm trying to think. Right there. Andrew Phillips. I know that was a great defense right there. I'm going to go there. I'm going to go there, see if I can't get Cam Hart too. I'll take him. See, I'm out of my depth right here. I don't know. I don't know about a ton of these guys. I'm sure that they're going to put this stuff up there eventually. Traditional edge. Michael Hall Jr. I know I watched him play. He's a beast. Might be undersized for defensive interior. I'm a big Cam Hart fan. I'm double dipping. We're at 101. Let's take. We double dipped on there we go. Right there. Boom. Got a center too. Look at that. They gave me a D for the Michigan pick. But look at that. We pick up Mike Sandstro. We get 3 cornerbacks. Look at that. Christian Hayes. Oh, I should have taken Darius. I was trying to be a slappy. Oh, I did. I was slappy. I'm bad. I'm gonna do another one. I'm gonna do one more and I'm gonna take off. Ooh, look at that. What do you do? Peyton Wilson? Woo! Ain't nothing like having 2 Jack Campbells out there. We're going to go with the traditional thing right here. We're going to go with Zach Frazier in round 1. We'll just do the straight up picks. Yeah, I'm going with Trice. That Washington defense was sick. They were sick. Yep, that would have got me past my guy right there. I don't care about the trades this time around. See, this proves I don't know what I'm doing. I totally don't know what I'm doing. You know, when you get in these later ones, we just read on the guys, you know? I don't know a lot about these guys. Getting linebackers, defensive interiors, you know, cornerbacks, Bernardo Green. I know that was a good defense. Let's go. You know, if they came out with something like this, would you be okay with that? You know, edge, defensive interior, cornerback. They came out with that pool right there. What do you want to see them do? Yeah. Big Dan Davis, Cam Hart is a huge corner. That's why I picked him. There's certain guys I've been looking at. Chad says this offseason is a bust if they don't do something opposite Hutchinson. And I agree with that, Chad. I agree with that wholeheartedly. I've went to all the way to 416. And you know what happens in 4 minutes. So I'm going to turn into a pumpkin. here in a minute. But we'll do some more mock drafts. We'll experiment with that. I like using the mock draft thing in order to bring up, some of these other guys. Bringing up, the stats, right? When you look at these, when you're looking at these things, you're going into a mock draft, you get to look at all the guys once you go in there, right? You start the draft, and then you're looking at these guys. You can look at any of these guys, right? Which one of these top guys would you want? We're not really going to get in there, but one of the, would we trade up and get one of these, like Nate Wiggins? Look at these 3 cornerbacks right in a row that are taken. Quinyon Mitchell was the 4th cornerback. Do we want to jump up and get one of these guys? Or do we stay pat? And just kind of pick where we're at? So, thank you everybody for watching today. Participating. That's the big thing. It's like, this is our page. The Detroit Lions Villain Squad. If you haven't followed the page yet, please do so, because we love this, man. Right now there's 46,000 villains in there that took the journey with us, and even some Lion or like Packer fans, big shout out to Robert and A-Dub, Bear Down Mike, Steve is real, you guys from from the other fan bases that come on here. I try to keep it real. I am a Homer Lions fan, but we don't do much of the trash talking anymore, because it always ends up just talking about football anyway. Trash talk gets old. Throw your best shot out if you want, whatever. But I like talking about this offseason. But give us a follow. Lions Villain Squad, Faith, Family, and Football. If you're using our link for our giving link, our church does a great job at outreach. We're serving people in the Genesee County area, and they do it for real. This isn't just, a money grab. They gave away like 400 turkeys for Thanksgiving, and, help people out with their Christmas. So just know that if you use that link, that's what is happening with the money that you put in there. So we appreciate anybody that's using that. Faith, family, and football. The family and football part, that's easy. We're football fans, and here we are talking football every day, 3 p.m. for Russell Wayne. We also got the Smoke and Jeremy B show in the mornings at 11 a.m. So we're going to leave you with that. May the Lord bless you. May the Lord keep you. And may the Lord shine his face upon you until we meet again tomorrow. For Football Talk with Russell Wayne. Peace out.
What's up, y'all? This is Ifeatu Melifonwu, safety for the Detroit Lions. And I just want to take some time out to give a big shout out to Russell Wayne and Main Event Mike from the Detroit Lions Villain Squad. It's a fan page and a podcast. And I just want to say I appreciate the support of me and my team. And I encourage everyone to go check out their podcast and check out their fan page.